These morons on the women's soccer team continue to embarrass us on the national stage. They tied, okay? They got into a 0-0 tie with Portugal. And they've only scored 4 goals in 3 games. It's the first time ever that the women's team does not have at least 2 wins at this stage of the competition. And yet they're celebrating out there like they've just won the whole thing. They're making fools of themselves. They won't sing the national anthem. Half of them won't put their hands over their hearts. Even the ones who are singing are half-assing it. They clearly don't want to be doing it. I mean, they look like they don't even want to be there. It's like some sort of inconvenience to be representing the USA. So Carly Lloyd, God love her, she's with Fox Sports now, goes out there, and it's very unusual for a former player on the team to actually take shots at the sitting team. But God bless her, because she was right in everything she said. And listen to what she said.
I have never witnessed, and just seeing these images for the first time right now on the desk, I have never witnessed something like that. There's a difference between being respectful of the fans and saying hello to your family, but to be dancing, to be smiling. I mean, the player of the match was that post. You were lucky to not be going home right now. Started to shift post 2020. I think there's just a lot of off the field things that are happening. And, you know, you never want to take anything for granted. You put on that jersey and you want to give it everything you have for the people that came before you, for the people that are going to come after you. And I'm just not seeing that passion. I'm just seeing a very lackluster, uninspiring, taking it for granted. Where winning and training and doing all that you can to be the best possible individual player is not happening.
Right. Because she mentions 2020, that was post George Floyd, when you had the Megan Rapinos of the world saying, we're not singing the national anthem. We're all taking a knee. We're never going to sing the national anthem again. And now she said that the player of the match was that post because a post blocked one of the other team's kicks into our goal, not us. So this team is prancing around like they've won the whole thing. They won't respect us. They won't respect our country. They won't respect the men and women who have died for the United States by just managing a hand over the heart. And yet they celebrate themselves like crazy, even though at best they've tied. Caroline, what do you make of it?
Well, I may be sports illiterate, but I can recognize when a team like this is clearly settling for mediocrity. I mean, I saw this sports columnist describe the performance of this team as lackluster because, like you said, they tied with Portugal and they had beaten that team, I think, in at least 10 meetings prior. So this is clearly a decline in their, athletic performance. And I think it's probably because they're prioritizing other issues besides being a winning team for the United States and representing the U.S. well. And it's definitely politics. They're definitely investing a lot of energy into woke things. Like you mentioned, Megyn Rapinoe, she, I think just the other day, said that if a transgender individual were to want to come onto her team, she'd accept them with open arms, which is very ironic because a women's team was beaten by a UK men's team, I think last month, 12-0. So clearly she's not convinced of the overwhelming physical advantages that men have.
Megyn Rapinoe, she's the leader of all this. She didn't make the team exactly. She's on the team, but she's on the sidelines. She's not a starter. So that's why she's not on camera when they're doing the national anthem. But she's behind a lot of this. She's poisoned the entire team against the country for which they play, Will. And I don't know about you, but I'm watching this team. I'm not rooting for them. I'm not with them. I hope they lose.
Well, it's funny, your producer, they sent the topics this morning and they're talking about women's soccer. I didn't even know any of this was happening. I had to go look all this up. I mean, this is how outside of the realm, women's soccer is for a lot of people in this country. And honestly, this team reminds me of the Republican Party in America. It's full of losers and they love losing is what it seems like. I mean, I see these people celebrating that they have lost or tied a game. And it's just this entire culture of what it means to be many people living in America today. They're fine with mediocrity. They're fine with foreigners coming in and eating our lunch here in America. They're fine with sending our jobs overseas so that they can work cushy jobs and that working hard is a relic of the past. That's what it seems like this team is doing. And so in reality, it's hard to blame them in the sense because it's really just exemplary of what so many Americans are now doing. I think that our country is really going downwards in a way where we are saying losing is great, being a loser or mediocre is fantastic, and being someone who excels, who is courageous, who is outside of the box is wrong. And I think that's a huge mistake on our country's part and what we've prioritized.
Yeah. It's shameful. These girls are shameful. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. Do you guys remember when I had RFK Jr. on my show and he discussed his presidential campaign and his book, The Real Anthony Fauci? I remember. And I got to say, a lot of the things RFK is trying to expose are downright frightening. I'm not saying he's right on this or wrong on that, but what I am saying is you should be aware of this and what RFK Jr. has written about, what he's been alleging. And now you can do it very easily. You can watch the movie adaptation of his book for free. That's right. The folks over at Revealed Films have turned the Real Anthony Fauci book into a movie. See Fauci's questionable behavior, to put it mildly, and motives during the AIDS crisis for yourself. Learn as they dive into his $2 billion plus Department of Defense funding and the damages related to his collaboration with Bill Gates. And don't forget how he shunned all sorts of inexpensive solutions to COVID. This guy now being threatened with criminal charges by Rand Paul. Go watch the movie and make up your own mind for yourself. For a limited time only, watch this movie for free at therealanthonyfaucimovie.com. Therealanthonyfaucimovie.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.